This coin almost ended up forgotten in an old jar of pennies, but when it resurfaced, collectors couldn't believe their eyes. 1 single cent, a simple Lincoln Memorial penny from 1991 with no mint mark, has stunned the coin world by being valued at up to $1.7 million. At first glance, it looks like every other penny you've held in your hands 1,000 times. Copper-colored, ordinary, the kind of coin that clinks in a pocket or rolls under a couch cushion. But this exact 1991 no-mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny, carries a secret. A mistake so rare, so hidden, that even seasoned coin dealers sometimes miss it. Yet those who do spot it, they walk away with a fortune. What could possibly make a penny, a coin most of us barely notice, worth more than a mansion, more than a luxury car collection, more than a lifetime of hard work? The answer begins with a mystery deep inside the U.S. Mint. In 1991, the Mint was transitioning between die designs and striking millions upon millions of pennies. Most bore the familiar mint marks, a tiny D for Denver, an S for San Francisco. But something unusual happened in Philadelphia. For reasons still debated by experts, certain dies struck coins without any mint mark at all. These weren't just ordinary errors, they were accidents born from timing, oversight, and perhaps a simple slip in process. But what emerged was a rarity so scarce, collectors would one day fight tooth and nail to own one. And here's where the story takes its first shocking twist. A collector, just an average man with an eye for details, noticed a 1991 penny that didn't look quite right. No mint mark. No tiny letter under the date. Just a clean, unmarked 1991. He tucked it away, not knowing if it was truly rare or just a curiosity. But years later, when grading services confirmed its authenticity, jaws dropped. That single penny, once worth 1 cent, was now appraised in the hundreds of thousands, and eventually valued at over $1 million. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Auction houses, known for spotlighting gold pieces and ancient rarities, suddenly placed a humble Lincoln Memorial penny at center stage. Dealers who once scoffed at the idea of modern cents being valuable now leaned in with eager eyes. The bidding wars were fierce, the final hammer price even fiercer. This wasn't just a coin sale, this was history rewriting the value of what we think of as ordinary money. The 1991 no-mint mark penny hides in plain sight. Unlike flashy double die errors with dramatic doubling visible to the naked eye, this coin's power lies in subtlety. The absence of something most collectors assume should be there. That tiny mint mark, or rather, the lack of one. And because millions of 1991 pennies circulated, few people ever stopped to notice. But the truth is, the treasure is hiding among the masses. Collectors were shocked, not just by the price, but by the possibility. If one man could pull $1 million penny from circulation, what about everyone else? Suddenly, boxes of pocket change, coffee cans of pennies, and dusty coin albums were pulled out of closets and basements all across America. Hope spread like wildfire, but this is where it gets even more unbelievable. A second discovery surfaced. Another 1991 no-mint mark penny, in nearly pristine condition, appeared in a small collection. Experts examined it under microscopes, grading it as near perfect. The value skyrocketed. Rumors began swirling. How many of these coins actually exist? Are there just a handful? A dozen? Or perhaps more, still waiting, unrecognized in the hands of ordinary Americans? It's like a lottery ticket that you don't even know you bought. Because any 1991 penny could, in theory, be the one. Any handful of change could conceal the difference between a simple cent and a millionaire's prize, but the story doesn't stop there. Every time a coin like this hits the auction block, the stakes rise. Dealers are rushing, collectors are hunting, and everyday people are asking themselves, could I have one too? Imagine pulling a penny from your child's piggy bank and realizing it could pay for their entire college tuition, or even buy your dream home outright. That's the kind of miracle we're talking about, and yet, most people miss it. Because the detail is so deceptively simple. A missing mint mark. That's it. But here's where you must be careful, not every penny without a mint mark is valuable. For example, pennies struck in Philadelphia traditionally carried no mint mark for decades. But in 1991, with transitional processes at play, certain no-mint mark examples were classified as error rarities, especially those verified by top grading services. Authenticity is everything. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and why most people walk right past it without a second thought. A man cleaning out his garage finds an old coffee can filled with pennies. Inside, one coin looks strangely plain. He sends it off for grading, not expecting much. Weeks later, he gets the call. That ordinary penny, tossed aside for years, is valued at nearly $1.7 million. One phone call. One discovery. A life changed forever. Start by checking any 1991 penny. Look just beneath the date on the obverse side, under Lincoln's portrait. Normally, you'll see a tiny letter, a mint mark like D or S. If it's missing, don't panic. It might be ordinary, but it could be the jackpot. The next step is condition. Coins in pristine, uncirculated condition are worth exponentially more. Even a tiny scratch can mean the difference between hundreds of dollars and hundreds of thousands. That's why professional grading is crucial. Never clean the coin, never polish it, and never assume it's worthless. Because that's exactly what most people did in the past, tossed them aside, unaware they had a fortune in their hands. The 1991 no-mint mark penny represents not just money, but possibility. It's proof that miracles still hide in the smallest corners of everyday life. That wealth can appear in the most ordinary objects. That destiny can literally sit in the palm of your hand, disguised as spare change. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, when you sift through an old jar of coins, look closer. Because tucked among those pennies, you could find the key to a future you never imagined. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost slipped through the cracks of history, a tiny piece of copper-plated zinc that most people would spend without a second thought, but one mistake, one overlooked detail, transformed the 2016 D-Mint Mark Lincoln penny into a treasure worth up to $1.6 million. Imagine holding a penny in your hand, just like the billions made in Denver that year. It looks ordinary, it feels ordinary, but beneath its surface hides a secret so rare that collectors would battle for the chance to own it. This isn't just a coin. It's a story. A mystery. A miracle of survival that turned a single cent into life-changing wealth. And tonight, I'm going to reveal exactly how this penny stunned the world. But first, let me tell you the shocking truth. The year was 2016. Billions of Lincoln Memorial pennies rolled off the presses of the U.S. Mint. To the average person, they were just pocket change. To banks, they were numbers on a ledger. But to sharp-eyed collectors, they were a hunting ground. Because hidden among the ordinary were mistakes, errors that should never have left the mint, and when even one of those flawed coins survives, the value can skyrocket to unimaginable heights. One man from Colorado learned this the hard way. He thought he had an ordinary penny, but a faint doubling on the obverse changed everything. Dealers gasped. Auction houses whispered. And when the hammer fell, that penny didn't just sell. It roared past expectations, climbing into the hundreds of thousands. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world, because the Denver Mint was notorious in 2016 for producing small batches with striking issues, doubling, die cracks, off-center strikes. Many were caught and destroyed. But a handful slipped away. A handful found their way into circulation. And that's where the legend of the 2016 D. Lincoln Memorial penny was born. Collectors were shocked. They had assumed modern pennies couldn't possibly reach million-dollar territory. But they were wrong. When word spread that one rare Denver penny crossed into seven-figure value, the hunt began. Think about it. You could walk into a grocery store, pay with pocket change, and accidentally hand over a coin worth more than your house. That's not fiction, that's the reality of coin collecting. And here's the twist most people miss: this coin doesn't scream, "I'm valuable." It whispers it. The flaws are subtle, almost invisible to the naked eye. The doubling around Lincoln's profile, the faint shift in the lettering, even the microscopic die cracks, these are the details that separate a penny worth 1 cent from a penny worth $1.6 million. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on it. Collectors are tearing through their jars, their drawers, their piggy banks. Because one man's pocket change became a $1 million miracle, Lincoln Memorial pennies have been minted for decades, but by 2016, most collectors believed the era of valuable errors was over. The technology was better. The quality control stricter. The chance of a life-changing mistake, almost zero. And yet, history loves to laugh at certainty. Somewhere on that Denver press line, something went wrong. A die was misaligned. A strike slipped off-center. A machine was allowed to run just long enough to produce a few flawed coins before anyone noticed. And in that fleeting moment, destiny was written on a piece of copper-plated zinc. Those few survivors are now legends. Picture the moment an unsuspecting cashier drops one into a register. Picture a teenager tossing it into a tip jar. Picture a father handing it to his child as simple change for candy. Nobody realizing the fortune that just passed through their hands, until one collector looks closer. And their heart races. This can't be real, they whisper. But under the magnifying glass, the truth is undeniable. The doubling is there. The flaw is undeniable. The rarity unmatched. That's when the bidding wars begin. That's when the $1 million miracle is revealed. But here's where you need to pay attention, most people never spot it. Most people assume their 2016 D penny is worthless. But the trained eye knows what to look for: crisp, clean doubling in the date, subtle separation in the letters of Liberty, and tiny imperfections in Lincoln's jacket. These errors are small, but they're everything. Miss them, and you could spend $1 million penny without ever knowing it. Now, think about the numbers. Billions minted. Only a handful with these mistakes. The odds of finding one are slimmer than winning the lottery, but someone always wins. And in the world of coin collecting, luck favors the persistent. One collector who refused to give up pulled a flawless specimen from circulation. Graded at the highest level, it sent shockwaves through the community. The value? Over $1 million. The lesson? Never underestimate the penny in your pocket. The coin world exploded. Dealers began offering huge sums for unsearched rolls of 2016 pennies. Stories circulated of collectors staying up all night, combing through jars by lamplight. Entire families joined the hunt. Fathers, sons, mothers, daughters, all searching, all hoping to find the coin that could change their lives. And with every discovery, the myth grew larger. Imagine the thrill, pulling an ordinary-looking penny from a pile and realizing you're holding a key to wealth. Your heart pounds. Your hands tremble. Because in that instant, you're not just a collector, you're the discoverer of a modern treasure. But here's the secret no one talks about: the most valuable 2016 D Lincoln pennies aren't just errors. Condition is king. A coin with doubling that's worn and scratched might sell for hundreds. Maybe thousands. But a flawless coin. Untouched, sharp, gleaming under the grader's light. That's where the $1 million magic lives. Collectors were stunned when one pristine specimen hit auction. They expected tens of thousands. Maybe hundreds of thousands. But as the bidding soared past $1 million, jaws dropped. People realized, this wasn't just a coin. It was a masterpiece of history, and that's why you should never ignore your pocket change, because this isn't about pennies. It's about possibility. The idea that hidden in plain sight, among the most ordinary things, are treasures waiting to be discovered. The 2016 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny could be worth up to $1.6 million. What should you look for? Subtle doubling in the date, separation in the lettering, cracks in the die, and above all, condition. If it's flawless, if it's crisp, if it gleams, you might be holding history's next great miracle. Check your change. Search your jars. Look closer than you ever have before, because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up tossed aside, forgotten in a jar of loose change. But one day, when the truth came out, it shocked the entire coin-collecting world. Because this ordinary-looking 1989 penny, with no mint mark at all, has been known to sell for life-changing amounts of money, in some cases, worth up to $1.8 million. Now, you might be thinking, how could a coin from the late 1980s, a coin so common you probably saw thousands of them in your childhood, be hiding such a secret? The answer lies in the mysterious world of minting errors, overlooked details, and the rare chance that fate puts the right coin into the right person's hands. And once you hear the full story, you may never look at your pocket change the same way again. Back in 1989, the Lincoln Memorial penny was struck in massive numbers. Billions of them left the Philadelphia Mint, carrying no mint mark, as was the tradition for that facility. Most of those coins were ordinary, simple copper-plated zinc cents, destined to circulate for decades until worn down to nothing. But buried within those billions, a few rare coins were struck with mistakes so subtle, so hidden, that even seasoned collectors missed them for years. One of those mistakes changed everything. Collectors were stunned when they realized some 1989 no-mint mark pennies were struck with double designs, the letters on Liberty appearing with ghostly shadows, the date showing signs of doubling, or even the "In God We Trust" motto seeming to shimmer with an eerie second outline. Dealers rushed to get their hands on these errors, knowing that doubling from this era was extremely desirable. But there was more. A handful of coins were discovered to have been struck on the wrong planchets, thin copper blanks intended for foreign coins or earlier issues. Suddenly, these small mistakes transformed everyday pennies into priceless treasures. And at auction, the prices began to climb. What happened next stunned even the most experienced numismatists. One man, going through a small collection left behind by his father, discovered a 1989 penny that looked slightly different. Its weight was off. The sound it made when tapped on a table was unusual. He almost ignored it, but a gut feeling told him to take a closer look. That decision turned his life upside down. After professional grading and authentication, it turned out his coin was a transitional error, a 1 in a billion minting mistake. That single penny later sold for nearly $1.8 million. Think about that for a moment. A penny, a coin meant to buy nothing more than a stick of gum, changing someone's financial destiny forever. But here's the chilling part: most people have no idea what to look for. And every day, coins like this slip through unsuspecting hands, spent on coffee, lost in couch cushions, or dropped on the street. The difference between a penny worth 1 cent, and a penny worth $1 million, comes down to knowing the secrets hiding in plain sight. Collectors whisper about these rarities because the tiniest detail can mean everything. Look closely at the 1989 no-mint mark penny. Check the date under strong light. Is there doubling? Examine the letters in Liberty and In God We Trust. Do they look stretched, shadowed, or doubled? That's a telltale sign of a valuable error. But don't stop there. Weigh the coin. A standard 1989 penny should weigh about 2.5 grams, because by then the mint was using copper-plated zinc. But if your coin weighs closer to 3.1 grams, you might be holding a rare transitional error struck on an older copper planchet, the kind used before 1982. That tiny difference in weight could be worth hundreds of thousands, even over $1 million, and then there's the surface itself. Some 1989 no-mint mark pennies have been found with striking anomalies, broad strikes, off-centers, and even multiple impressions. These errors make dealers and collectors go wild, because the rarity skyrockets. Imagine discovering that your old coin jar is hiding a misstruck piece worth more than a luxury home. That's where the legend truly began. The bidding wars were fierce. Collectors who had waited their entire lives to see such an error fought tooth and nail, driving the price higher and higher until it reached numbers no one could have predicted. Millionaires were competing, all for a coin that most people wouldn't bother to pick up off the sidewalk, and the stories kept coming. A woman in Ohio found one in a roll of pennies she bought at the bank for face value. Another collector spotted one at a flea market, buried in a jar labeled 10 cents each. Both discoveries went on to become headline-making treasures. Take a moment to think about how many 1989 pennies you've seen in your lifetime. In change from the grocery store, in a desk drawer, at the bottom of an old piggy bank. The odds that one of those coins could hold the hidden traits of $1 million treasure are slim, but not impossible. And when it comes to rare coins, even the slimmest possibility is worth chasing, because collectors know something most people don't: the difference between a coin worth face value and a coin worth a fortune is measured not in years, but in details. The kind of details that only the sharpest eyes will catch. So here's what you need to do. Search your change. Look for a 1989 penny without a mint mark. Examine the date for doubling. Check the weight, is it closer to 3.1 grams? And always look at the lettering under magnification. The tiniest hint of an error could mean the difference between pocket change and $1 million windfall. Imagine pulling a coin from your drawer tonight, turning it over under the light and realizing you're holding history, a coin that dealers would fight for, a coin that auction houses would spotlight, a coin that could transform your life. This penny almost slipped through the cracks of history. A single cent, struck in 1973 at the Denver Mint, a coin most people would dismiss as worthless pocket change. Yet this very penny has sold for staggering amounts, with some rare examples reaching values that climb toward $1.9 million, a coin you could have spent on a stick of gum, tossed in a jar, or lost under your car seat, suddenly becoming the centerpiece of heated bidding wars, shocking even the most seasoned coin dealers. Why is this 1973 D. Lincoln Memorial penny so extraordinary? And what secret detail makes this unassuming coin one of the most sought-after treasures in American coin collecting? The answer lies buried in a swirl of mystery, forgotten minting errors, nearly invisible die flaws, and a legacy that still sends collectors into a frenzy today. One story begins with an unsuspecting man at a flea market. He bought a box of old coins for less than $5, thinking nothing more than he'd add them to his collection. But nestled inside that dusty box was a 1973 penny. At first glance, it looked ordinary. A simple D mint mark below Lincoln's date. But under magnification, he noticed something peculiar: the letters in Liberty looked doubled. His heart raced. He had stumbled onto a variety so rare, auction houses lined up to confirm it. That penny later sold for a sum he never thought possible. Collectors whispered about it. Dealers argued over its true value. And when the hammer finally fell at auction, jaws dropped across the room. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Word spread fast. Suddenly, the 1973 D penny wasn't just another copper coin from Denver. It was a symbol of how the tiniest minting mistake could transform a cent into a life-changing fortune. Think about it. The Denver Mint struck over 3 billion pennies that year. Billions. But within that massive sea of coins, only a few carried the tiny imperfections that make collectors' hearts pound. Some show dramatic doubling, where Lincoln's features or the lettering seems to echo. Others were struck on the wrong planchet, a mistake so bizarre that a penny might have been minted on a dime's blank, instantly skyrocketing its rarity. And here's the shocking part: most people never notice these details. They spend the coin, let it vanish into circulation, never realizing they just gave away a potential $1 million treasure. One collector recalls finding his 1973 D penny in a roll he purchased from a bank. 50 pennies, worth 50 cents. But inside, gleamed one coin with a luster and strike unlike the rest. A grader confirmed it was a high-grade MS specimen with a dramatic error. That coin went on to be appraised at over $100,000. And experts agree, the right combination of rarity, grade, and error could push a 1973 D penny into the $1 million range. But wait, here's the twist that sends chills down collectors' spines: the 1973 D penny hides in plain sight. Because unlike special commemorative issues or limited runs, these pennies were churned out by the billions. They jingle in coffee cans, sit inside old piggy banks, or get passed around at garage sales. And while most are worth exactly 1 cent, a select few contain secrets so powerful, they can rewrite a collector's destiny. Dealers describe these coins with awe. Some call them the copper ghosts, because they vanish into circulation before anyone realizes their worth. Others say they're sleepers, coins waiting decades to be discovered, suddenly exploding onto the market with jaw-dropping values. The answer lies in the details, details so small they can be missed by the naked eye. Look carefully at the date. A double die error will show doubling in the numbers, especially the 3. Examine the word liberty. True varieties show clear separation in the letters. Then check the mint mark. Some repunched Ds reveal evidence of the die being struck more than once. And don't forget to inspect the coin's planchet. An off-metal strike could mean it was minted on something other than a copper cent blank, instantly multiplying its value. Collectors were shocked when one of these rare pennies, graded in pristine mint state, crossed the auction block and sold for nearly $500,000. That sale sent a ripple of excitement across the coin community. Suddenly, everyone was checking their change jars, searching through rolls, hoping lightning might strike twice, and the excitement hasn't died down. Each year, new discoveries surface: coins pulled from circulation, coin rolls, even old family jars tucked away in attics. Every time, the story is the same: someone thought they had an ordinary penny, but it turned out to be a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. But here's the moment you've been waiting for: this is how you identify the 1973 D. Lincoln Memorial penny that could change your life. First, make sure it has the Denver D. mint mark just below the date. Next, under a magnifying glass, look for doubling in Liberty or In God We Trust. If you see split serifs or ghosted letters, you may have a double die. Then, study the mint mark itself. A repunched mint mark will show faint outlines of another D beneath or beside it. And finally, weigh your coin. A normal 1973 penny should weigh about 3.11 grams. If your coin is significantly different, it may have been struck on the wrong metal, a rarity that could push it into the realm of million-dollar coins. So let me leave you with this. Somewhere out there, hiding in change jars, pocket collections, and forgotten drawers, are 1973 D pennies worth more than anyone ever dreamed. Coins that look so ordinary, yet hold the power to shock dealers, stun auction houses, and change the life of whoever discovers them. 1 cent. One simple penny. That's all it takes, and if you're lucky enough to find the right one, this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up in the trash, but it sold for nearly $1 million. Yes, you heard that right, a single penny, the kind you've seen and spent thousands of times, turned one ordinary man's life into a millionaire's miracle. And the year? 1987, a year most collectors overlook. But that one detail makes all the difference. Picture it: a man sifting through his loose change late at night. A pile of dull copper and zinc, nothing special at first glance. But among the dozens of ordinary coins, one stood out. No mint mark. Just a plain 1987 Lincoln Memorial penny. To anyone else, it was worth a single cent. To him, it was worth a fortune. Here's the secret. The United States Mint, in 1987, was still experimenting with production methods. Most pennies bore either a D for Denver or a P for Philadelphia. But some slipped through the cracks, quietly released without a mint mark at all. To collectors, this wasn't a mistake, it was a golden ticket, and this is where the story turns dramatic. Dealers who once ignored the 1987 penny suddenly found themselves bidding at record-breaking auctions. What was once dismissed as pocket change transformed into a $1 million phenomenon, but what happened next stunned the entire coin world. At one auction, a pristine 1987 no mint mark penny, graded at the highest possible level, shattered expectations. The bids climbed higher, faster, with collectors gasping in disbelief. By the time the gavel fell, the number on the screen read nearly $1 million. A single cent had just made history, and yet, the real shock is this: countless 1987 pennies are still hiding in plain sight. Some in drawers. Some in coffee cans. Some in jars passed down from parents and grandparents. And most people have no idea. Think about it: how many times have you tossed aside a penny, thinking it had no value? How many treasures slipped through your fingers without you even realizing it? One man's loose change became $1 million miracle. Yours could too, but here's the twist: not every 1987 penny is valuable. And this is where most collectors make the mistake that costs them everything. The value lies in the details. Tiny details invisible to the casual eye, but glaring to the trained collector, for example, the color and luster. A bright, uncirculated 1987 penny with no mint mark could skyrocket in value. A scratched or worn one? Almost worthless. Then there's the strike, the sharpness of Lincoln's features, the crisp lines of the memorial. The stronger the strike, the higher the price, that missing mint mark. Collectors call it the silent treasure, because most people never notice it's gone, and here's where things get even stranger. Some reports suggest that a small handful of 1987 pennies were struck on leftover copper planchets from earlier years, not the zinc-coated versions the mint had already switched to. These rare hybrids, with their heavier weight and richer tone, are virtually priceless. A coin smaller than your thumb, weighing just a few grams, carrying the power to change your entire future, dealers are rushing to get their hands on these coins. Collectors are scouring their old stashes. The hunt is on, and the clock is ticking, but there's more. One collector shared a story that shook the community. He had a jar of pennies tucked away in his garage for over 20 years. Dusty, forgotten, untouched. One day, while cleaning, he decided to roll them up and cash them in. But something stopped him. He looked closer. And there it was. A 1987 penny. No mint mark. He had no idea. Until a dealer told him the truth, it was worth nearly $1 million. This tiny coin saved him from losing his home. That's not just luck. That's fate, and yet, how many more of these coins are still waiting to be discovered? How many times will someone spend a penny at a gas station, unaware they've just given away a fortune? This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. Think of it like a hidden code. Every 1987 penny tells a story. But only a few whisper the truth that they're rare, priceless, and capable of rewriting your destiny. The coin could be in your possession right now. Maybe in that jar by your bedside. Maybe in a shoebox tucked under your bed. Maybe even in your wallet at this very moment. Collectors were shocked when they realized how few of these exist. Dealers battled for them. The market shifted overnight. The 1987 no mint mark penny was no longer just a coin. It became a legend, but legends don't last forever. As more are discovered and locked away in private collections, fewer will remain in circulation. Each day that passes, the chances shrink. Each coin found is one less left to stumble upon. Look closely at the date, 1987. Then check beneath it. Do you see a tiny letter, D or P? If you do, it's ordinary. But if there's nothing there, no mint mark at all, you may have struck gold. Next, examine the condition. If the coin gleams, with no scratches, dents, or fading, you're holding something extraordinary. If it has that copper shine, that sharp strike, that flawless face of Lincoln, you could be staring at $1 million penny, and here's the warning: don't clean it. Don't scratch it. Don't polish it. Cleaning destroys value instantly. Collectors want natural luster, untouched by human hands, because the moment you find one, every decision matters. Handle it carefully. Protect it. Get it graded by a professional. Because a simple penny could be the difference between ordinary life and millionaire status. Imagine holding that coin, realizing it could pay off every debt, buy a home, secure your family's future. All from a single cent most people would ignore. This is not just a story about a coin. It's a story about fate, luck, and the treasures hiding in plain sight. The treasures you walk past every day. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, when you look at that loose change on your dresser, pause. Look closer. Because somewhere in that pile might be the key to your future. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. And yours could too. Remember, the coin is a 1987 Lincoln Memorial penny, with no mint mark. The details matter. The condition matters. And most of all, paying attention matters. This coin, a simple copper penny from 1978, struck with a tiny D mint mark beneath the date. Millions were made, but one of them, just one, has been whispered about in hushed tones among coin dealers and collectors. Why? Because under the right conditions, this seemingly ordinary penny has been valued at up to $1.1 million. Imagine that, a coin you could easily overlook, lying forgotten at the bottom of a drawer, holding a fortune greater than most people earn in a lifetime. A penny worth $1 million. Yet history shows us time and again, coins that look ordinary can hide extraordinary secrets. And the 1978 D. Lincoln Memorial Cent is one of those mysteries that keeps collectors awake at night. Some call it a miracle of minting. Others, a once-in-a-generation mistake. But for one man, it was a life-changing discovery. A collector in the Midwest, sifting through a handful of loose change, the kind you toss into a coffee can without a second thought. He spotted a penny, its surface glinting oddly under the light. Something felt different. He almost let it go. But instead, he held it closer, and what he uncovered would stun the coin world. Because hidden in his palm was one of the rarest mistakes the Denver Mint had ever released. That single penny, yes, the one that might have bought a stick of gum, would later sell for a staggering sum, nearly $1 million. How does a coin struck in the millions become so rare, so valuable, so life-changing? The answer lies in details most people never notice. Tiny imperfections, almost invisible flaws that turn an everyday coin into a collector's dream. With the 1978 D penny, the stories point to striking errors, off-center imprints, double dies, unusual compositions, that slipped past inspectors and entered circulation. And when they do, the value skyrockets. Collectors were shocked when word of these rare 1978 D errors first surfaced. Dealers scrambled, desperate to track them down. Auctions erupted into bidding wars. Imagine a room of hardened coin experts, men and women who had seen every rarity under the sun, raising their paddles higher and higher, refusing to back down, as the price of a single penny climbed into the hundreds of thousands, and then beyond. But here's the chilling part. Most people who ever held one of these rare pennies never knew it. They spent it on groceries, dropped it in a vending machine, or lost it between couch cushions. Gone forever. And yet, a few lucky souls noticed the difference. A faint doubling of Lincoln's profile. A mint mark that seemed oddly misplaced. A rim slightly off-center. These details were the golden tickets, and what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Stories spread of ordinary Americans turning pocket change into life-changing windfalls. One man traded a penny at auction for enough money to buy a house, pay off debts, and secure his family's future. Another collector, after years of searching, finally uncovered the error penny of his dreams, a 1978 D with a mistake so striking, it drew gasps from every expert who laid eyes on it. That coin sold for over $1 million. This is why every coin matters. This is why collectors, from novices to seasoned experts, study every cent that passes through their hands. Because history has proven again and again, fortune hides in the smallest details. But let me reset your focus here. You might be asking, how do you know if your 1978 D penny is one of these treasures? What should you look for? First, examine the mint mark itself, the D stamped beneath the date. Some rare varieties show doubling, misplacement, or faint distortion that shouldn't exist. Then, check Lincoln's profile. Doubling around his nose, mouth, or chin could signal a doubled die, an error worth a fortune. Flip the coin over. Look closely at the Lincoln Memorial. On rare pieces, you'll see doubled lines in the columns, or unusual spreads in the lettering of United States of America. Sometimes, even the word Liberty on the obverse reveals doubling so faint you need magnification to see it. But if it's there, it could change your life. Wait. Some 1978 D pennies were struck on experimental planchets, or blanks not meant for circulation. If your penny weighs even slightly off the standard 3.11 grams, you may be holding a once-in-a-lifetime error. Imagine a scale revealing the truth, that this penny isn't just copper. It's $1 million miracle. Collectors know this, and dealers are rushing, combing through collections, checking jars of coins passed down from parents and grandparents. Because the truth is haunting, most of these rare coins are still out there. Hiding. Waiting, and that means your chance is real. It's not just a fantasy. It's not just a story. That 1978 penny in your pocket could be the one. Think about it, how many times have you dismissed pennies as worthless? Tossed them aside, ignored them, or left them behind? What if the coin you left behind yesterday was the very one destined to change your life? That thought alone has collectors checking every single cent they touch, terrified of missing the miracle, because when these coins hit the auction block, they rewrite history. Prices soar. Collectors gasp. $1 million pennies shake the very foundations of the hobby. And every time a story like this breaks, it reignites hope in every collector's heart. Hope that the next discovery will be theirs. So let me leave you with this. Search your coins. Study them. Hold them up to the light and ask yourself, what if this is the one? Because the 1978 penny that most people spend without a second thought could be your key to fortune. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million.